Yeah, saying no is one thing, accepting no is another thing.
When is the best time to correct your parents?
Yeah, that, oh, you want to tell me that you're wiser than me?
That you don't correct your spouse like you're correcting a child.
God is interested in how you wake up in the morning.
There must be a clear demonstration of the power of God.
See, I did high octave and low octave.
You guys are going to enjoy today's episode.
Today.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I climb to the highest mountain.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of UNWALLED. UNWALLED is a show where we get to discuss about the issues that we don't regularly talk about in church. I welcome all of you for joining this episode. With me today is an amazing person. Her name is Maryam Laushi. She's a good governance advocate, and she was part of the team that spearheaded the Not Too Young to Run. Welcome, Maryam, to this episode.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Okay, so without wasting time, we'll go right into the conversation that we have for today. So the first question I have for you today is, must Christians have a Christian candidate for elections? Must we always go out to vote for a Christian candidate as believers?
My answer to that, I think, has led me to many arguments. I don't think it has to be a Christian candidate. And my reason is this. If we were living in a Christian country with a Christian-based system of government, then I would say yes. But we're living in a country where we have to interact and work with people of different walks of life, different religions, and even lifestyles. So I personally don't think that when it comes to a country that is as mixed as ours, that making things about religion will lead us anywhere. In Nigeria, for example, we've seen that people who claim to be Christian held leadership positions, especially in the government, and were not able to do the right thing there. And so for me, that creates a disconnect. And I think about certain instances in the Bible. The king that favored Esther was not a Jew, right? And we had so many instances of kings that God used, to administer what he wanted to administer, and they were not necessarily followers of him or believers of him or worshippers of him. So I personally feel like we need to look beyond that, because Nigeria right now needs a country that can unite regardless of whatever your tribal or religious beliefs are. We need to be able to unite so that we can deal with the base issues that we have. For tens upon tens of years, we've struggled, about the same things, electricity, jobs, so many health, so many basic things that just simply have not improved. And so the moment we're able to get someone who can do that, who can, do something that is, right, something that sits on justice, then I think that's who we need to look out for. I mean, even as Christians, we know that by their fruits, that's how we know a person, right? And so when somebody labels themselves a Christian and they don't have the fruits, for me, if we have the idea in our minds that we have to vote for a person who's Christian, then we begin to lose focus of what is the substance we need to see, and we start focusing on, does he go to church? And
which church does he
belong to? None of those things matter at the end of the day. We need to see someone that's going to, as a Christian today, they tell you, this person, you have a guarantee that there will be no more insecurity. Christians will stop dying. There will be no more hunger. There will be no more bad hospitals, whatever. They tell you that guaranteed that person is going to give it to you today. You would vote for that person. It does not matter. As long as you know that at the end of the day, you, your family, your friends will all be safe and do well, then I think that's what we need to really focus on. And also uniting. I think there is an angle of Christians inside governance as well as even Christians voting. There is an angle to it. But I think it's way more than just vote for a Christian. I think there's a bigger idea and goal and purpose behind that. Yeah.
Okay, so if I'll just add or ask one other question, you've mentioned the fact that we need to have somebody who can unite the nation, and then secondly, you mentioned someone who will be able to take away the prevalent issues that we are having currently.
Yes.
So, what other things should believers really be looking for in voting for a candidate?
So for me, because I'm a Nigerian, I have learned not to be idealistic in terms of like expecting a hero that will do everything to change this country and make it better. I no longer have that idea in my head because we need to build our society. And our society is what will produce a good leader. And so no matter who you put, unless it's Jesus that you're going to put there, that person is going to be surrounded by a society that is rotten unless you do something about the society. And so I think that, first of all, we should not expect anybody to be a hero for this country. We need to be realistic. We need to be able to have a kind of balanced view of what our expectations are, what we want, and then the effort that we are willing to put into it. So building a nation or building even a crop of leaders that would do things differently is going to take a whole generation. They say a generation is like 25 years, right? For me, that's what I think. If you want someone to come in and do the right thing, you can't expect, I will not say his name, I will just use his initials, someone like P.O. You can't expect P.O. to come out and change the whole country when there are other
areas of government.
If by a miracle he wins, there are so many levels down to the local government level that a president cannot touch. There are state governors, there are state legislators and federal legislators. So you can't expect a PO to come out and magically make things better when you have not dealt with other levels. Apart from that, the civil service itself is another problem. So they will frustrate him if he tries to do anything different. So, I mean, we've seen people like JFK who was really interested in liberating Black people and he was assassinated. So a lot of these things, as Christians, we shouldn't just think of who am I voting for during election time, but what am I doing off election cycle in terms of building up good leaders, building up a party that is worth it, even entering a party that may not be worth it, and seeing what you can do at the base level of the party to bring a change and be committed to that change for 25 years. Some people did not enter promised land. That does not mean they did not work towards getting people to that promised land. So we have to be realistic in the sense that, okay, we may not see a change in our own time, but what can we do? Exactly.
So let's even go to the question you're already trying to bring out, the participation of youth in the entire process of politics, of elections. So what I hear you saying that it's not just enough to bring a PO, for example, to be your president. You know, so after you brought him as president, what else are we doing? How can we truly have our leaders accountable to ensure good governance, at least within the period of time that we have to contribute our own quota in building the country? So
I'll use the example of PO. There are so many things that we can pick at in his history that should give us doubts about selecting someone like that, right? But at the end of the day, the whole point of democracy is like by the people, right? And so if the people are selecting a person, then the people should hold that person accountable at every step of the way.
Is that really tenable in Nigeria?
That's the problem again. Exactly, that's the problem again.
How do we hold them accountable?
So first of all, I think people are dependent on. So there's this thing I see a lot, like, where are the people who are advocating for this thing? They have not said anything. We all have a mouth to speak, right? We shouldn't always wait like, oh, that advocate or that civil society organization should hold that person accountable. No, in your own space, you can actually hold your government accountable. And the reason I know this is because I have done it personally. Like, there is a website that has the contact information of members of the House of Reps of Nigeria. One of them came out to say something that I felt was very inappropriate. I went to the website, I took his phone number and his email, I called him, I sent him a message on WhatsApp, I shared it on social media. I said, look guys, this thing that he said is not okay. Oh yeah, everybody, call him, email him, because literally that is how it works in a democracy that works. Everybody call him and ask him why he made that statement. Do you know that by the end of that day, that man got so many calls and emails that the next time they were in plenary, he actually apologized in plenary about what he said and he took it back. And I remember I had a conversation with him. He does not know me from anywhere. I picked the number and I called him and I said, okay, I'm the one who shared your number. I wasn't happy with what you said, blah, blah, blah. And he said, I'm so sorry. That's not what I meant. And I know for a fact that next time he's standing up to speak, he's going to be very cautious, especially around that matter. And that is like a very simple way. It just cost me some credit and some data to do that. And it's a very simple way of saying, you know what, like, I'm going to ask my government to be accountable and represent me in the way that I want. It also comes down to like our own participation in political parties. So people think participation is just about, let me know if I'm talking too much.
No, right.
Okay. So people think participation is just about like voting or running for office. But there are so many levels to it. Like, so many of us are not card-carrying members of political parties. When you carry a card, you're a stakeholder. And maybe as a single voice, you're not relevant, but as a group, you can be relevant. As a community, you can be relevant. If you come as a community and say, okay, there are 100 of us here, and our votes are going to a particular person for this reason, you are making a stand. And if so many other people decide to do the same in their communities, it's like the Bible says a 3-strand cord is not easily broken, right? Yeah. So imagine if we come together and we do these things. Like, we can actually pray and fast for better government, but faith without works is dead. So we need to be able to participate at every level, in the parties, in the communities, at the ward meetings, whenever there's a conversation. Like, even in the National Assembly, they do public hearings of laws that they are going to pass. And a lot of people don't know or don't make time to pay attention to those things. It's an opportunity as a member of the public to say, you know what, this part of the bill, I'm interested in it for so reason, or I'm not interested in it for so reason. So I think that there's just so much, literally, there's so much, even writing an article and having it in the newspaper or on a blog to say, this is the reason why this should not happen or this should happen, it makes a huge difference. And we can't expect to have the kind of country we want as Christians if we are not willing to really push for those things. I mean, I remember when there was when Chibok girls were taken and people were doing the protests. So I think I went to some of those sit-outs, and like, I was in a particular church. I'll just say in a particular church. And somebody was saying that, you know, you shouldn't be protesting, it's wrong, blah, blah, blah. But that is actually part of holding your government accountable. Don't be a violent protester, but you have the right to go out and peacefully protest for a matter that concerns you. And when I hear people in church saying, oh, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't stand, it's not about that, it's about justice. So people should be able to stand up for what they know, that if it happens to you, would you want people to be sitting out until you are rescued? Yes, because I don't want to be kidnapped and then nobody is speaking up for me and government too is relaxed. So,
okay, thank you very much. So I want to bring our attention back to two things which you have taught. Are you in any way advocating that the church should have a single candidate? For instance, for presidency, the church will say this is who we want, just to show that we are united as a people. Because just address that. What do you think? Should we have a united candidates that the church will vote for?
So
Or should vote for rather?
I try to steer away from like the church choosing a candidate for people.
Okay, why?
I think that in the ideal democracy, and I know I've said that, Nigeria is not the ideal democracy, we have to be realistic, right? But in the ideal democracy, like, there are reasons why a person is selected or reasons why a person is in a party. There is an ideology, like the set of values and beliefs you have on how a society should be and how government should be administered. And if, like, the most beautiful example, of course, is the US, the Democrats and the Republicans. The Republicans are very conservative and the Democrats are supposedly more liberal. And you look at their policies and ideas and the things that they push, there is a reason why a person will identify as Republican, because they are conservative and they don't believe in certain things happening or how society should be. And so if you come to a place like Nigeria, once you have values that guide our politics and our parties, you don't need to tell anybody who to vote for. But once you have just this free fall of like anybody that wants to run and you don't even know what the person's values are and you just endorse that person for whatever reason, like, to me, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
Because
So
there could be
what
two
if-
Christian candidates.
So what if the church decides to say we are going to screen you? Yes, let's assume you are running for presidency or whatever in your church, and or in this church. Let's just come close, and then we verify, do all our checks, and we say no, you are good to run. Can we present you to the church and to all the branches of the church and say, please, this is the person you must vote for because we believe in our values, we believe she can deliver, stuff like that.
So I think that is okay. As crazy as that sounds,
Okay.
the reason is that other groups of people are endorsing candidates and they have their reasons,
Okay.
right? But will the church be able to, what if there are two Muslim candidates or two atheist candidates? Is the church still willing to endorse? And if the church cannot endorse, and it's only, at the end of the day, like, it's risky. But if you have somebody, I feel if the church can endorse somebody who's not a Christian, because what really happens is you have to come to the table and say, look, if you become president, you are going to protect the rights of Christians to practice their religion. You cannot come and say you're going to stone a Christian to death when they do not, subscribe to a certain set of beliefs or judgments from another, kind of belief. If that person, people lie, that is even the problem. Can you guarantee that this person you want to endorse is going to go and do what you are endorsing them for? So
how do we maximize our number as a community? Because in the last comment you mentioned that we have groups, because part of the way we can deliver or participate fully in politics, that we are able to maximize our number, maximize the group that says this is who we want to endorse. So how can we maximize our number? Because if you look at the church has a number. We can actually do a lot with the number that we have.
yes.
How do we maximize that in terms of politics?
So the church needs to raise quality leaders.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Quality leaders who will not just lead in government, but like in different aspects of society. That's why I love Church Beyond Walls. It's not about in the church to each other, but like what's outside. There is a kind of leadership that we can perform or administer that would be just amazing and glorify God outside. And so the church really needs to build leaders everywhere. And then also, like, in terms of our numbers, right? As much as religion is not the reason why I should pick a candidate, it's also a huge factor in my life. I like being a Christian. I love being a Christian. And if they tell me someone is going to be president and he's going to stop me from having my right to practice my religion, then I would stand up and say, do not vote for that person. And as a number, that is your negotiating power. So a lot of people now are talking about like a Muslim ticket in Nigeria, which if they are good, it doesn't matter. If they're not going to infringe on rights, it doesn't matter. But what if they do, right? As a group of Christians, let's say Northern Christians, for example, we are way more than people think we are. We are a lot. Our number is huge. But do we go out and vote as a bloc? We may not expect to do that because everybody has their interests and what they are into, right? But think about it. If Northern Christians as a bloc decide that, look, we are suffering too much because of this and this and this, and we need somebody that's going to guarantee us that this is not going to happen anymore. And if that person cannot do that, we're not voting for them, we're voting for this other person. It brings you a seat at the table because you are bringing a number of votes. And so those are the certain things that I feel, you know, there are so many things we can do. Yeah, but these are like little things we can do.
We must be united first before we can talk about
We can't be united though.
But from what you said, we must be united as a
we
people,
can try
as
to be,
Christians,
yes.
before we can present, or before our voice can count as that block of India.
Yes, but I don't think everybody would agree on one thing. Yes, but yes, it would be helpful if on an issue that's important, we can stand up and speak so that Christians can be safe in Nigeria.
Okay, so to the next question, do you think young Christians are ready for politics?
Whew. Okay, I want to say yes, because at the end of the day, the old people, are they ready? We are all in this ship together in Nigeria, the ship of Nigeria, right? The sad part is that our country doesn't equip us with everything that we need, not just even to lead, but to just live a normal life and be comfortable. So there are so many things that we need that will enable us to be leaders that our country isn't providing. Education, healthcare, innovation, good leadership examples. There are so many things that we need. So many people's destinies have been destroyed by being Nigerians because they were just a victim of a certain circumstance that was just, you were driving on the road and you were shot. You were so many things that, so many opportunities have died here. And that's because we don't have a country that works for all of us. And until we have a country that works for all of us, you can never really say anybody is ready. And I don't think that is particularly about young Christians, but about everyone in the country. So, but at the end of the day, we have to make the best of what we have. And if what we have is each other, if what we have is the little resources in terms of our education and whatever, then we make the best of it and go for that leadership if we know that there's a difference we can make in it.
So it's not about young or old.
Yeah, it's not about
just need
age.
to go for whoever is ready.
Yes.
All right. So as we draw the curtains to this conversation, looking back at NSAS, we saw that NSAS was kind of a huge leap from the young people again. When you look back at the entire process, the entire thing that happened, what do you think the youth would have done better and can begin to implement now? Looking at elections coming again, 2023 is not far from now. What do you think we can make, we can take as corrections from NSAS and implement now to ensure that we make a better effect, or we bring out a better result than what happened with the NSAS?
So I think NSAS happened how it was supposed to happen. My only regret is that people died. But NSAS was something that needed to happen because people were dying anyways. And it lit a fire in young people in Nigeria. And sometimes a movement like that may not particularly bring out the end result or look as perfect as you want it to. But sometimes the faults in those things actually give birth to better ideas and evolution in the movement itself. So people now know that, look, if there's any danger, everybody should go home. I'm hoping people have learned this from that situation so that no more lives will ever be lost in such a situation. But it happened, I think it happened the way it did for a reason, and it just needs to continue building momentum, because the truth is, like, Nigerians are just tired and the whole world is tired of like suffering. So maybe, you know, people will pick from that the fact that we are tired of bad governance, because people started saying NSAS, but then they realized, okay, you want to end SARS, but you're not paying police well. That's a problem. You want to end SARS, but then when someone is you know, on the road, a bad road, there are so many issues that are interconnected. And people realized it wasn't just about SARS or police brutality. It was about everything in the way we are being governed. Exactly. So just understanding that and maybe making an effort to push for better governance and be active in ensuring that we get that governance that we need as a people. I think that's like the birth where that current fire was birthed, and I hope that, you know, we get to see more of that happening, but not without the violence. Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. So, any last words for us before we leave?
Well, I think that my last words are registration for your voter's card. That's done. But if you registered, please pick up your PVC. If you pick up your PVC, on election day, please go and vote. Don't just vote for who's going to be president. Vote for every other office that you have access to vote for. As much as the parties are not that great, pick one. It doesn't even have to be any of the major ones. Pick one and be a part of it, because I think the Greek people were the ones who kind of brought about this very democratic coming together to discuss political issues and all of that. And they really explained how no matter who you are, you have to be active in it, because it's going to affect your life one way or the other. So I think my last word is like, let's just be active in any way that we can, so that if, you know, 25 years from now, a generation later, they ask us what we did for our children and our grandchildren, let's be able to say that we did something that made this country a little bit better for them.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for joining us again for this episode. We believe you've had a very wonderful time with us having this conversation. And please, if you've not subscribed to our channel, please do well to subscribe. Do well to broadcast this to many other people. They need to benefit from all of the things that we've been discussing on UNWALLED. So we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
I climb to the highest mountain.